Welcome back, everybody. I have another scary story for you today, and this is one that many of you guys actually suggested in my last video. So let's jump right into it. The locals call it the Whispering Pines, and they warn anyone who lives there or dares to visit to stay away from it after sundown. Life was good and the people prospered until one day they began to run out of supplies. So a group of strong young men volunteered to go into the forest and cut down some trees to build some new sheds and houses. Some said it was a godsend, and others warned against taking anything that didn't belong to them. They screamed and ran back to the village. When they told the others about the faceless woman and her cabin, the villagers decided they would burn it to the ground. Others claimed that the forest itself became what's called a thin place, where the veil between the world of the living and the dead is at its thinnest. He hasn't seen her in over 2 years since she ran away from home after their parents died. In the letter, she tells him that she will be arriving in town soon and asks for him to meet her at the local inn. And so she walks freely among us. They gathered wood and other supplies and marched back into the forest. As soon as the sun dips below the horizon, Joseph hears a whisper, then another and another. He also notices that the trees seem to be closing in on him and the path ahead is blocked by a thick wall of vines. In the middle of it stands an old cabin, or what's left of it. The roof has caved in and the walls are covered in strange symbols. Joseph shivers and continues to walk forward. Suddenly, the air grows freezing cold. Joseph pulls his jacket tighter around himself and turns toward the sound. He sees the ghost of a woman floating toward him. Joseph explains about his sister and the ghost and begs the owner to help him find her. The owner shakes his head and tells him that no one has ever come out of that forest after spending the night there. No one ever returns after seeing the ghost. He flips it open and sees beautiful handwriting telling the story of a young woman who fell in love with a man from the village. But the entries turn darker as the pages pass, telling of a cruel betrayal and a desperate plan for revenge. She is pale, eyeless, and dressed in the same rags as the faceless woman from the story. His sister won't be coming back, but he wants to find her anyway. And in that moment, he feels the forest around him fade away. He is no longer in the woods. He is in a dark and endless void. And the last thing he hears is the ghost's laughter echoing all around him. He rushes back into the forest, determined to find her body and bring it back to the village for a proper burial. You see, Joseph made it back to the village and he told everyone what happened. Nobody believed him though, and they thought he was crazy. He continued to live his life and tried to move on. But strange things began to happen. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon if you haven't already. And as always, I'll see you next time. Confused and frightened, Joseph turns around to go back, but he realizes he has no idea where he is or which way he came. One day he decided to go back to the woods to see if anything was there. He walked for hours but found nothing. Then he looked down at his feet and realized he was still wearing those same shoes. Her voice is raspy and weak, and as he flips through the pages, he finds a picture of the faceless woman from the woods. And in that moment, he understands. "You found my diary," she says. "Why have you come here?" Joseph turns around and kneels before her. "I'm sorry for what happened to you," he says. "I don't know what you want from me, but I will do whatever it takes to help." He calls out to his sister and asks her to show him where she is. This time he isn't afraid. Suddenly, the trees part and he sees a small opening. He walks inside and finds Mary lying on the ground. He feels a sudden chill as he realizes he may never get out of here alive. She raises her hand and Joseph feels a terrible chill. "You have two choices," she says. "You can stay here with me forever, or you can leave and suffer for the rest of your life." At first, he thinks he's imagining things. Then he looks around and realizes there's nobody there. He continues to walk deeper into the forest and finds some tracks that look like Mary's. They found the cabin easily and set it ablaze. As it burned to the ground, they heard a scream unlike any they had ever heard before. Then they vanished. A few days later, more supplies were needed, so several people returned to the cabin. The trees open up again and he finds himself back at the wall of vines. "Why, hello there." He runs faster, desperate to escape. Every time he looks back, he sees the same ghost, but she seems to be getting closer. He feels her icy cold breath on his neck and he can hear her raspy voice saying. He breaks through and returns to the clearing, but the cabin is gone and the ghost is nowhere to be seen. Panic starts to set in. Shaking and exhausted, he makes his way to the local inn and stumbles inside. He tells the owner what happened to him and collapses in a chair. When they got there, they found the same woman standing outside. She welcomed them and asked if they could help her carry new supplies into her house because she had hurt her ankle and couldn't get them up herself. He immediately sets out to get ready for her arrival. He cleans his room, mows the lawn, fixes up the fence. He wants everything to be perfect for her. Concerned, Joseph decides he needs to find her, so he goes to the local librarian and asks about the history of the forest. She tells him stories of mysterious disappearances and of an eerie, blood-curdling howl that echoes through the trees at night. They agreed, but as they walked past her, they saw that she was barefoot and wearing rags. She thanks him for coming, but quickly tells him that she has to go into the forest to look for some herbs. She apologizes and says that she will be back soon and rushes off into the trees. She seemed nice enough, but they all felt uncomfortable. But when they ventured into the thick woods, they found something that shocked them. There are rumors about the forest and what lies within it, stories passed around by parents to their children to keep them from going too far while playing or walking home from school. They went inside and found shelves with supplies stacked neatly, even food stored in barrels and dried meats hung from hooks. It was almost as if the owner had just stepped out for the day. But as they took inventory, they realized that everything was for a woman and a young girl, and they knew the owners must have been gone for a very long time. They tell tales of mysterious disappearances and of an eerie, blood-curdling howl that echoes through the trees at night. This story will take place in the early 1900s, in a small, quiet rural village nestled between rolling hills and a dense ancient forest. It's said that over 100 years ago, a group of settlers came upon a small patch of land deep in the Whispering Pines and decided to build a small village. It was an old wooden cabin, weathered and worn, but clearly there for a very long time. They brought the supplies back to the village and told everyone what they found. When they reached the door, she turned around and they noticed she had no face. Some say the angry spirit of that poor woman has been haunting these woods ever since, searching for her revenge on those who did her wrong. Now, about 100 years after this happened, a young man named Joseph receives a letter from his sister Mary, who has come to visit him. He hasn't heard from his sister since she ran away and he wants to know how she's been. He wants to call out to her and ask where she's going, but she's already disappeared from sight. When Joseph gets the letter, he is overjoyed. When she arrives, he runs to the door and welcomes her with open arms. Joseph stands there watching her go. He doesn't believe her though, and marches right into the woods after her. As he follows them, he sees shadowy figures moving between the trees and hears whispering voices, but every time he looks, he can't see anyone. Joseph stumbles forward and breaks through the vines, emerging into a small clearing. Joseph tries to call out to her, but no sound comes out of his mouth. The forest around him seems to reset. Joseph runs as fast as he can in the direction of the village, but he keeps hearing whispering voices calling his name. And finally, as the sun begins to rise, he bursts out of the trees and onto the road leading to the village. He opens it and finds an old diary. The owner looks at him strangely and asks him why he would go into the Whispering Pines at night. Joseph knows the owner is right. He feels it in his heart. When he steps back into the woods, the whispers start again and he feels that terrible chill go down his spine. She is pale and lifeless, but as he approaches, he notices that there is a small box next to her. Then there are pictures of the mysterious cabin, the same one from the story. The ghost appears behind him and taps him on the shoulder. That wasn't the ending. The ghost looks at him sadly. "I am here for revenge," she says, "and you have stumbled into my path." And every morning when he went outside, he would find dirt from the Whispering Pines in his shoes. Joseph doesn't hesitate. "I choose to stay," he says. But wait a minute. Every night he would hear whispering voices right outside his window, so maybe he never really left the forest at all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story.